All right, coming back in. Done a mic check for to resume the meeting, and I'm gonna put my cigarette out. No smoking in the GA.
We're going to go ahead and have 10 to 15 people come up and speak on this topic, approximately a minute apiece. You don't necessarily have to represent your group's total views, unless that's what you choose to do. So please, we're going to take stack right over here. Nicole will take stack. So if you'd like to speak, Nicole will put you on stack. And I just wanted to let you know, if you have an agenda, because our quorum is sitting at about 103 or 104 right now, we're going to go ahead. We have one proposal tonight. The second proposal has been pulled. So we're going to go ahead and bump the proposal up to the first thing that we do. It's a finance proposal, and it has an expedited process, so it'll be really quick. And then we'll go on to the committee report backs and the subcommittee report backs. Is that pretty clear? So Nicole's taking stack. So actually get in line, come forward and stand here if you'd like to be on stack. That way we can have you project out and speak to everyone when you choose to do that.
Okay, great. Hi everyone. My name is Holly. Oh hey, what's up? I'm from Occupy San Diego. Someone asked me to come up and share that info, but anyways, I'm going to let you know a little about what our group talks about. A lot of us were definitely aware that suppression and repression was happening, but a little concerned about taking on another project that's a little under a week away when there's already a bunch of other events going on. In addition, we wanted to make sure that we highlight that repression and suppression exists. If we have rallies or marches or things like that, or if we're going out to our communities, trying to show them a better side of what mainstream media is showing them. But at the same time, not make this the focus, because it seems a little reactionary and we want to be more proactive than reactive. So the way to battle repression and suppression as we see it is to grow our movement, and that may not necessarily be possible by only focusing on suppression and repression, but rather engaging people in dialogue and going out to communities, bringing them in, continuing to do actions that we're already doing. So that's basically what we discussed. We also talked about a little bit of principles of nonviolence, things like that. But anyways, that's basically it. That's all. So overall, we were just saying, we don't know how smart it is to take this on when it's a little under a week away and there's so much stuff going on.
I am so uninterested in fighting the groups that are rising up to fight us, like stand for open. Fuck them. I mean, if you want to talk about fighting, the tools of systemic violence, like the police or whatever, that's fine. That's something we need to seriously consider fighting. But fighting these little rinky-dink groups of fucking rich people come down from the hills to shake their fist, or the business owners who are sad because we're not shopping at their businesses, so their business is going down, even though hundreds of more people are now, feet away from their doorstep. Who gives a shit? So, I'm sorry. I don't mean to discount the work these people are doing, but I'm just really uninterested.
So you. No. So I'm not really going to talk at all about the specific plans or whatever they say is, but strategically, two points that I want to make on that. One is that when you think about repression, there's spectacular, really violent repression of the police and who may be and figure out things like that. We've all had a lot of experience with, but there's also the kind of other way of undermining co-optation. And so I think whenever we talk about this stuff, we just feel like whenever something gets large, power steps in and tries to co-opt part of it and takes more of it into the power, and then it violently tries to do the other part. And I think Oakland has basically been that other part that's getting violently repressed. And so we have to, we talk about power co-opting, we talk a lot about the Democratic Party, stuff like that. But I think we always see the power side that power will take it across the board. The other thing I'll just say is that we should shut the doors and kind of sometimes repression can be a catalyst for them to do a lot.
People drive you by.
An example of that, I can think of this in every show. Overall, Occupy, also a lot of us, how we first started to like, think about it, and it started at the national level when those people were sprayed and arrested, on the bridge, stuff like that. So
Steady
the
stream.
way that we obviously
A lot of
don't
action.
get hurt and go to jail, but you have to find ways when there is pressure to make sure that energy and
Weather's really
forward, and we've done that really well. Certain times, maybe since the general election, haven't done it as well.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Be more violent. We need to know how we don't let that fear get away. Instead, be like, pass that and bring in more numbers.
Here. I can't see you. I can't see the light. Okay, now I'm back. I like to hear the sound of my own voice. And that's an honest statement. I've begun to speak out more. And I saw a young woman come down here representing one of her groups. And it was one of the first times she had spoken, like in the group like this. And she just stopped. I didn't hear well enough to ever know her from. But one of the things about this movement is we have to learn to speak out, each of us, to our own constituents or to our own, and when I get a mic in my face, I want to be able to say the correct words. So tonight, I'm not sure why I'm down here saying anything. I'm supposed to be pushing my group, what I represent, this event, which I'm okay with, to stop the repression. But the event I really, really care about in my core, and I know we as an Occupy, because everybody's waiting for spring and for the Occupies to start growing, which we need to do, is May 1st. Yeah, May 1st. The real labor movement, the real people's movement. So I, decided to do this Occupy protest. I will join. I will do my best. I know that we have to make sure that we focus our energy so that when we are out there, we are out there strong. We are out there for the right reasons, and we are out there together protecting each other's back. I love you. I love this. Thank you.
There are two revolutionary slogans that I want to recite to you. One, serve the people. And the first thing that you have to do when you serve the people, you gotta go ask them what they need. We just had a meeting over on 19th Street, which was the neighborhood organization. The Occupy the Neighborhood, have barbecues in each neighborhood. And that's a great way of going into each neighborhood and asking people one-on-one or in small groups, what do you need? But you know what? There's something even better than serving the people. That is organizing the people so that they can serve each other.
Yes.
Because when you do that, now here comes the second revolutionary slogan. When you organize people so that they will serve each other, and you know you did it, then you become the revolutionary who is the fish that swims in the ocean of the people. That is what we can do if we go to the neighborhoods and talk to people, find out what they need, how they can help each other. Because if we do that, all of the people in Oakland will be protecting us, both out there with us in the street and politically in the ballot box.
I actually disagree with minutes that we haven't been with since the general strike. I've been
like warming is another tool that is very useful for the state to try to split up, acts of solidarity and popularity. And I think that Oakland proves that popularity does not hinge on tactics. And so even though we were one of the only cities with never came to some tactical extremes, and we're also the most radical occupations, we still had the most people who come out into the streets again and again, tens of thousands of people.
Yes.
I'll give up my iPhone. I think that we need to recognize that those divisive conversations from the internet and in the media and stuff and the type this article are really dangerous because it threatens solidarity. We need to look at why do we have so much solidarity? Why do so many people love us? Why does Cairo love us? Why does Barcelona love us? And why do the people in Oakland love us and continue on that path, right? And why we can get this much solidarity and around the world. And also, we already have this policy that, we won't be co-opted by political parties. So I don't know what that paper that's going around is.
Okay, so Occupy Oakland, that paper that's going around is a call for nationally coordinated action against the Occupy movement, which I'm here tonight from Occupy San Francisco to ask the Oakland GA to endorse a nationally coordinated campaign against the suppression of the Occupy movement. It is true, every major encampment across this country is gone in acts of violence against all of the encampments. It is true that all major media has smeared the movement and actually confused a lot of people and lied about the movement. And the movement is actually not big enough to change the crackdown on the encampments and to change public opinion by each one teach one in Oakland. It's just not happening that way. When they wiped out our encampment in San Francisco at Bradley Manning Plaza, we came back the next day and held our GA in the same place, and 300 police surrounded us. By the end of the night, 1,000 people had come out and surrounded them, and they had to leave. Okay? We don't have that kind of support in Oakland or nationally, and we need a lot more support. What's it going to take to get more support? That's what we're here to talk about. And one way, one small way to do that is Occupy Oakland. Sign the call. Sign the call.
I just want to interject and clarify real quick. There isn't a proposal this evening for supporting this action. They may submit a proposal, and if you're interested, talk to them. But there isn't a proposal tonight for that. That's not what we're talking about right now specifically.
Right, thanks guys. Pirate Mike, Occupy SF. I wanted to touch on some of the things Jacques is talking about. I went through and listened to a lot of your guys' concerns, and one of the things is I don't want anybody here to confuse this with a proposal for specific action. This is merely a call out to Oakland, which is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, last bastion of resistance on the West Coast, to at least consider forming revolution working groups of your own to coordinate with other revolution working groups around the country to find ways to dismantle the apparatus that enables police suppression. This is not about shutting down the ports in response to this or that.
Are you RCP? Straight up.
I am a friend of the RCP, sir. And they have been the most vocal.
Mic check.
All right.
Mic check. Let's not shut down.
All right. I apologize, friends, for my delivery. I just feel strongly about this call to action, and that particular newspaper has been the most vocal proponents and supporters of our movement. Thank you. Consistently.
First, I'm Daniel.
Mic check! Mic check! Somebody's trying to speak!
Hold quiet!
The question, what we can do about repression? Well, what I'd like to say is something that's kind of square one before we even do anything.
I see 100 of us. We're just really repressed recently. About 400 of us arrested. Okay, tonight we have this meeting. We have forum tonight. 100 of us here. Are we repressed? Do we still exist? Yes. Absolutely. Okay, that's fact number one. You've all heard the adage.
How do I get on
The
stack?
gorilla wins if he doesn't lose. We're still here.
I don't like the little snakes and all.
It's just live. Talk to you later.
Our group spoke a little bit about Our group spoke a little bit about the dialogue that's occurring lately. That includes type of words like Occupy Oakland is doing this, they are doing this, they are doing that, and how we can really turn that into and how we can really help educate people in the general public as to how they can empower themselves to come here and create actions that they would rather see, and to create, new guidelines that they want to have. Whatever it is, there's got to be some way where people out there stop thinking of this as some kind of little tight-knit thing that's making lots of decisions for the general public, and turns it into some sort of thing that brings in people and makes them know, yes, you can create an action here. We are here to help you with your project as well, not just build our own. And the other thing we talked about in line with that is leaving room for people to do that, leaving room for people to come and feel comfortable creating their own actions. Maybe they'll be a little bit more tender than yours, maybe they'll be a little bit more lighthearted, but to be able to support them in that as well, and maybe even potentially give them your time, give people that you wouldn't even really work with ever some time, to see what they're up to, check in with them, why don't they believe what you believe? Maybe you can help them understand what you believe, that kind of crap. So I think that's about it.
My group talks a lot about what Veruca and others have said. While I support this call, it's not a proposal right now, we're just kind of having a chat about it. Again, Occupy Oakland became really strong because of state repression against us. We organized a fucking general strike, and then when they shut down the second camp, we shut down all the ports on the West Coast. So I consider this call a little bit of a rubber stamp after the fact, and in fact a little bit insulting because it doesn't pay attention to the giant things we've already done. Are we ever going to permanently stop the repression against Occupy Oakland? Not until OPD goes away. And even if OPD goes away, they might go into federal receivership. It should be a whole nother fucking ball game, right? But I'd like to recognize that so many of these different revolutionary groups with only jumped on the bandwagon after the first repression of our camp. They were not in the camp the first 2 weeks before we got shut down, trying to get different groups to sign on their thing for their specific party program is absolutely abhorrent. And while I support them coming by and supporting us, I find it a little bit, I find it really fucking annoying.
Okay, I'm closing stack. There's 2 more people on stack, and then we're going to go to the first proposal.
Okay.
I think this is an obvious thing to support, like why vote on it? It's kind of obvious, and I said this is an obvious thing to support, but I don't really see the point in this conversation. It's just kind of obvious that we're all against anti-repression. But I think the conversation is kind of silly. If we're doing our job, we're going to be repressed, and if we want to spend energy on not being repressed, we should join the anti-repression committee that's always busting their ass, and no one has, they never have enough people to help them. Everybody wants a sexy action, nobody wants to do the work.
I don't know where the intellectual avant-garde has been. I mean, we have a repression committee. We had the first port shut down since 1940. There's a reason why people love us. There's a reason why I moved to Oakland, and partly it was because of this commune. The intellectual avant-garde is, as it always has been, behind the times and very unaware. So with all due respect, you should get involved and look around and learn our history before you
give us proposals.
Okay, so just to clarify, this was not a proposal. This was not a proposal. This has not been submitted to the Occupy Oakland Facilitation Committee as a proposal. So just to be clear on that. So we're going to go ahead and move to the first proposal now.
So our first proposal is a finance proposal from the Occupy Oakland Education Committee. So they're going to come up now and read the text of their proposal. Just really quickly for people who haven't been here before, the way that a finance proposal works, it's got a little bit of an expedited process. So we don't have the pros and cons part of the discussion. They'll read the proposal. We'll take a stack of clarifying questions. They'll respond to the questions. If you feel like it, we can have, small group discussions about the proposal, or we can just move straight into seeing if we have consensus around passing the proposal. And now I'm going to let them.
Hi you guys, so we're with the Occupy Oakland Education Committee. We have our meetings at Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Nebile Proctor Marxist Library, 6501 Telegraph. Every Sunday at 3, you all are welcome to come.
Can you speak up?
We're trying to, I'm sorry?
During the General Assembly?
We made our meetings before the General Assembly was at that time. We've been meeting at that time for a long time.
That's a mistake. That's something we should deal with. You're right.
So we printed this paper, and I don't have the proposal with me, I'm sorry, but I sort of remembered off the top of my head when I emailed to the Facilitation Committee, and it goes something like, I'm just going to read it to you. Whereas the 1% are in a national effort trying to privatize and resegregate Oakland public schools. We are trying to propose that the GA, the Occupy Oakland GA fund a bi-monthly newsletter for $300 to help every 2 months to help organize ourselves and organize a fight back against that.
The money would go a lot to the paper that we use. We spent already out of our own pockets about over $200 to print 1,000 copies, and so we're trying to finance that without having to pay for it out of our pockets, because personally I can afford to do that every 2 months.
But more importantly, what we want you to understand is how important our occupation. What we need you to understand is how important our occupation movement is at every step. Now, I have come back and tried to give reports about all of our activities. One thing I do want to mention, in this particular, we brought some, if any of you want to read it, we've brought some for you. The lead article that's written by 2 of our older members of this committee is about how the administration at Oakland Unified School District is trying to break the OEA, that is the Oakland Educational Association, the teachers union. We printed this article about what was called mutual matching, a means to break seniority for teachers. Because we printed this article, they are now having a union conference about mutual matching. That is the power of our committee through the occupation movement. We wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the occupation movement. All right, we have also attended the school board meetings, and now they know that the occupation movement has its education committee, and we successfully intervened at their last meeting. I thought, well, we did fairly well. So I would just like to appeal to you to, 1, support us, but please, if you wish, read the journal yourself, and you'll see that it's quality. These young people have generated some excellent articles to educate people, to educate the 99% here in Oakland about what they're doing to our schools. Thank you.
So I'd like to remind everyone speaking that actually, because this is an amphitheater, it helps to actually, sometimes you can be heard better if you stand back more, and that way you're able to project out a little bit better.
You gotta get up the microphone. You guys good? Anybody else?
Can you pass around copies?
Just to let you guys know, this is entirely written by former teachers, current teachers, substitute teachers, after-school teachers. So what they've been really trying to do in Oakland is the beginning stages of privatization. All right, Oakland is the leading city in California in charter schools. All right, charter schools are, they're not all the same, but a lot of them are based in foundations, which is corporate private sector money. All right, all the after-school work that used to be union work is now being done by nonprofit NGOs, also foundation money. Okay, so this is serious. A comrade of ours the other day talked about in the 70s how they decimated public health with privatization. Okay, so this is what we're fighting against right now. They're closing 5 elementary schools in OUSD.
This year.
5 more?
5 more. They already closed down 13.
And they're slated to close 30 more schools throughout Oakland Public. So this is a bi-monthly newsletter. We're looking to fight this kind of privatization. So please help us out. We just are looking for money for paper.
And the last thing I would add is that, so we already have a group called Occupy the Hood, which is involved in the struggle. This is the group that shut down and mic checked the board meeting, in which we put forth 4 demands. 1, stop school closures. 2, have OUSD refuse to pay the state debt. 3, get Wall Street to pay back the state debt so that we aren't left with the hook. And 4, stop union busting. Now that's kind of the action side of the struggle. This is the educational side that's complementing that side, because right now this privatization agenda is extremely complex. It comes in a lot of different forms. For instance, charter schools. Charter schools on the surface are a very complicated issue. We're trying to break it down so that people understand how that is the front end of privatization in the school system. This educational piece is crucial to the struggle to connecting up people. And so we've actually already started distributing. We made 1,000 copies. We've been distributing to teachers, to parents already. This process is going. What we're asking for you is to help support the continuation of this process so it doesn't stop here, it doesn't make us seem flaky, because this shit needs to keep going.
Now, just to be clear, before we go to clarifying questions, they're asking for $300 every 2 months for the newsletter. Is that clear? Okay, so we're going to go to clarifying questions now. We'll take 10 clarifying questions. Again, for finance proposals, we don't do pros and cons. We just do clarifying questions. We're going to take Stack right over here. Nicole, take it. So if you'd like to speak, please talk to Nicole. Our first clarifying question.
I want to know who the audience is for these, who you're going to be handing them out to, and who you're using to print them. I want to know the audience, the projected audience for these, and who is printing them.
Okay, we'll tell you right now. We take them to the schools. Excuse me. We try to aim them at the schools. We also give them to the parents, particularly in the parents of some of the schools that have been closed down. In fact, one of those parents wrote an article that's in here, and I hope you look at it. We try to give them to tell you the truth, to young people who are students who are interested in what's going on. So that we have quite a targeted audience for this. Now, where did we have it printed? Well, we didn't have a lot of money, so we went to a place called the Alternative Press. Zach here got trained to be a printer. So that what happens is we don't pay labor to have it printed, and they give us the ink and the plates. But we help them out with that too, a little money with that. But the paper, you can't get around that. You have to buy the paper. So that's why we're here.
My clarifying question, I kind of already know the answer to, but I don't know if it was clear to everybody, so I'll ask it as a question. Is it true this is a publication of the Education Committee of Occupy Oakland?
That's correct.
This is not like an outside publication. It's coming out of an Occupy Oakland committee. It's an organizing tool for doing the work of Occupy Education, which is part of Occupy Oakland. Is that right?
That is correct.
My question is, have you talked to, I believe we have two currently Finance Committee funded newspapers coming out of Occupy. Have you talked to either of them about possibly joining up with them and doing an education page, using some of the money that's already being spent so that we don't have to add additional money, even though it's a fairly small amount?
The answer is no, we did not. And it's because we think that there's hardly, I mean, remember, the whole question of education in America, it's supposed to be the leveler. People take education serious. We're not opposed to cooperating with other committees, don't get me wrong. But we think that the question of education is of primary importance, and we must use our skills and ability to, to educate the public on this vital matter. So we think we should have an independent